On today's episode of FAFO, farmers are again asking for help.
This is not your ordinary farm crisis. We call it Farmageddon, and it really is tough time.
So you guys are calling it Farmageddon. Real estate investors are calling it Farmapalooza as they can't wait for you to foreclose on your property and then come in and buy your property for pennies on the dollar. And the rest of us that didn't vote for this administration are calling it I told you so Chella. And let's hear what one of the farmers have to say about this.
Our bill collectors want money now. The chemicals, the seed companies, the fertilizer companies, they need it now. They don't want to hear, oh, I'm waiting on a farm bill payment that's going to come 2 years from now. They don't want to hear that.
Unless money comes now, it's projected up to 1/3 of Arkansas farmers could face bankruptcy or be forced to shutter their operations.
Now I have a couple of suggestions that actually might help you in this situation. 1, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. 2, cut back on the avocado toast. 3, enjoy less Starbucks. 4, perhaps find a part-time job. And 5, cut back on your subscriptions like Netflix, Hulu. And it looks like all these farmers have a very similar solution as to what can fix their problems.
Haney hopes if the right person hears his message, it'll spark a positive outcome before it's too late.
77% of farmers voted for President Trump. And all we're asking for President Trump and this administration to do is take care of the farm.
And by take care, they mean another government handout. Which is really weird and ironic because since 77% of you guys voted for this, you guys should be happy with what you got. Because of the policies and the executive orders that he enacted, you guys are suddenly freaking out even though this is what you voted for, but for some reason you guys aren't putting the blame on him. Because you guys are always socialism is bad until you guys need it, then you're like, no, it's good for me but not for you. And the really ironic part is that they need help now, but in that big beautiful bill that was signed, they're actually going to get help at the end of 2026. So I would suggest that you guys properly try to manage your money until the end of 2026 instead of asking for help now.
So that's what we got for American farmers, is zero empathy. We want them to fail.
So now suddenly farmers want empathy? But didn't you people say that empathy is woke and empathy is bad? Where was that same empathy when they voted? Did they care about students drowning in debt? No student loan forgiveness, so why should there be farmer bailouts? Did they care about families who needed WIC, food stamps, free school lunches? No. Medicare? No. Pew Pew control to save kids? Definitely not. And I don't see any Republicans running to support the farmers. Shouldn't they be pulling themselves up by the bootstraps and working harder? I mean, that's what the Republicans have been telling everybody else. Do I want farmers to fail? No, of course not. But did they knowingly vote against their own interest? Absolutely. And do I feel bad for them? Not one bit, because they never feel bad when their votes actively harm other people. I'll gladly and have to pay $20 for imported veggies if that's the cost. This was their choice, and maybe, when they feel the sting of their own hate, bigotry, and racism backfiring, they'll finally realize that voting the wrong way hurts everyone, including themselves.
This is my 39th crop. I started in 1986, the year I graduated high school. I could plant an acre of beans in 1986 for 30 bucks. It irritates me that you don't have the guts to acknowledge that the people do not pay the tariffs. I don't care if it's John Deere, Case, Caterpillar, all that stuff is outsourced overseas. And the guy that pays it is the guy that purchased it. I can buy a bearing for a combine, and it's made in Taiwan or who knows where. Parts have over doubled in the last year, if you can get them. The dealer at Marshall has a backlog for almost 4 months because they can't get parts because of Trump's stupid tariffs. I think agriculture has taken a heck of a hit on a lot of misinformation, and he is not helping the farmer. I mean, we farm about 3,500 acres. We are going to be so far in the red. When are you going to stand up for us instead of kissing his ass for these trade deals? And the tariffs. More so the tariffs than the trade.
Hello brothers and sisters, hello beautiful people, how are you doing? I'm your host and presenter Induced Stories. Well, I'm hoping that you are doing great from wherever you watch me from. There's something that I just want to address like right now. You understand that a few months ago we had a lot of pushback from Black Americans when they try to warn you about all these, what Mr. Donald Trump told you and promised you, and you get to realize that whatever he promised you was all a lie, and these dawned to every American as time goes. the economic situation in the United States keep getting worse. The economic recession that is happening right now is affecting majority of people. One good thing about this economic recession that is happening today is that it's waking up the eyes of white Americans, and they are turning against all these white farmers that decided to vote for Mr. Donald Trump. Why is this recession important? This recession is important, and I know somebody might say that, why are you trying to say? How is the recession important? And here I'm here to explain to you. The recession is important because it reminds you of the mistakes that you made. And understand, the recession is not natural. It is an induced recession, right? And so all these white people are getting to understand, and their eyes are waking up, and they're calling all these white farmers that decided to make the wrong decision. Brothers and sisters, I don't want to say much, but I hope this video is so much important to you, because white farmers asked for help few months ago, and they asked black farmers to help them. They asked the black voices. They wanted black people. They wanted the collectivity of all these black people. And remember, in a couple of my videos that I told you that when you try to look at the history of white farmers, when you try to look at the history of black farmers, you know that white farmers were put at a vantage position as compared to black farmers. Whatever black farmers went through was so much devastating, part of history that is not being discussed until today. But the recession that is happening today is affecting almost every American, except for the top 1%. The bottom 10% includes majority of the Americans, and everyone is being affected. And so this is waking up the white Americans, and they are trying to question them. You know, you are farmers. How did you end up voting for this person? You chose your culture over your economy. You chose your culture over the education. You chose your culture. And that's how majority of these people are turned into slaves. You become a slave by falling for your culture. That's white supremacy, because at the end of the day, you are going to be insulated by the laws, by the rules. But turns out that the person that promised to insulate you from all these things betrayed you. Meritocracy is a lie, and everyone is suffering, whether you have land, whether you have a degree, whether you have a job, you are going to be affected by this induced recession. So brothers and sisters, watch this video. I'll be back, and then I'll be sharing my thoughts in regards to this. Let's watch it.
When did farmers become the villains? When did the disconnect happen is what I don't understand.
So that's what we got for American farmers, is zero empathy. Last thing I want is an American farmer to go under because us as Americans didn't want to do anything to support them.
Oh my God, can you guys just stop lying for 2 seconds? Please, just stop lying. Nobody's mad at you because you're a farmer. We all recognize how important farmers are. We all appreciate farmers. We're mad at you because you voted for this, and you're playing victim as if you didn't vote for this. And I don't even mean this in a fuck around and find out type of way, because you already found out in his first term. His horrible policies led to him having to bail you out. And you knew this. That's why I know you didn't vote for him because of the farm or because of the economy. You voted for him for different reasons. And let's start being honest. Your community is a huge reason why we have a sociopath in office, why we have an adjudicated rapist in office, why we have someone who tried to overthrow our government in office, why we have a 34-time felon in office, why we have a president who is actively ruining every part of our economy in office. You voted for that, knowing that he was going to do it because he did it to you in the first term, and y'all didn't care because trans people or something. Also, sidebar, I voted for you. For what it's worth, I voted for you, okay? Leftists voted for you. The left voted for you. We vote for a collective. We vote for other people. To sit here and act like, this is America, why are we not rooting for each other? That's what our vote does. That's how we look at elections. That's how we look at candidates. For you to come to us and say, how come the people who want everybody to have healthcare, who wants everybody to have public education, who wants everybody to have childcare, how come they don't want to be a part of this community that we have over here? How come they're mad at us? When we voted for you, and we voted for the exact solution that you are asking for right now, is absolutely insane.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I need you blue state liberals to stop calling the farmers who voted for their own personal financial ruin stupid. It's infantilizing. They aren't stupid. To actually manage a farm effectively requires insane depths of knowledge in math, science, logistics. These people aren't dumb. But what they are learning, for I think in some cases the first time in their lives, is how expensive racism is. They heard Trump loud and clear when he said that he would deport their labor force and that he would tariff essentially all of the inputs they need to run their facilities. And they absolutely heard him when he claimed over and over again that the US gave too much to the world in aid, and therefore those aid streams, which most often include the food these farmers grow, would be cut. They heard it all. They just didn't believe it. They thought this was just Trump 1.0 and there would be enough adults in the room to say, hey, this is reckless. We can't do this because it will dismantle the economy. Yeah, a lot of farmers were hurt during the first Trump administration. Thanks to his reckless trade wars, particularly with China, a lot of them went bankrupt. And the bailouts that originally happened under Trump's first term didn't mostly even go to these small-scale farmers. It ended up going to big agribusiness. And I have a feeling, if past is prologue, we're gonna see that happen again if bailouts happen at all. Because the reality is these people do not actually want to save these small-scale farms. People in this admin, like J.D. Vance, very specifically invested in things like Acre Trader. Their goal is for these farmers to go bankrupt so that they can consolidate, buy up huge swaths of their land, and make a fortune. So I'm not gonna lie to you, there is very little incentive for anybody in this administration to actually give these farmers a bailout, no matter how angry and white and male they are. I doubt there are any farmers listening to this at the moment, but the billionaires do not care about you. They actually just want to take your stuff. So even if a bailout does come, and I doubt an effective one will, but if it does, it is going to be meager enough to keep these people in dire financial straits. Because the goal of a lot of these billionaires and investment firms is to make them desperate enough to sell. So you can say goodbye to small-scale family farms, that's for sure. What's kind of funny about this is that Let's Go Brandon tried to bail you out for real. And that's probably the last time anyone will, so.
Friend, pick up the phone. So there was a farmers union event in Wisconsin, and a lot of them are in the find out stage of their support for the Dollar Tree dictator. They said, hold up. We thought we were exempt. We thought we voted for hate and racism, but just not when it affects us. You see, because we're struggling. Now you're finding out. Let me break it down for you. Wisconsin and a lot of farms across the United States of embarrassment rely heavily on immigrant workers. Not only that, pair it with the USDA cuts. What else? They're cutting funding. Immigrants, even if they have temporary visas, are afraid to work because they think that ICE is going to come and pick them up from the farms. And then the farmers are like, wait, well, because we don't want to do that. That's not what we signed up for. And they're upset. And we said that he was a liar. He was a liar. One of the farmers at the Dairy Queen, it's not the Dairy Queen, one of the dairy farmers in Wisconsin said, this is not about politics. It's about survival. We can't milk cows without workers. Oh, really? So I want to talk about this article really quick because it's all starting to make so much sense right now. This author and journalist was having lunch with friends. There was a white guy and he's married to a black lady, and they were talking politics. And he says that farmers weren't worried about Trump deporting migrants because, wait for it, they thought because unemployment was so high for black people that these black people would run back to the fields and do the jobs that the migrants were doing when they got deported. So she asked, where'd you get that information from? White farmer TikTok or MAGA Facebook memes? Where'd you get this information from? And her and the wife basically started giving him information, letting him know unemployment is only 6.8% for African Americans, and 93% of black people are currently working. Got so caught up in what they were hearing at Fox News and other places, thinking black jobs, immigrants are taking black jobs, that they just assumed they'd get rid of the immigrants and black people would take the immigrants' jobs. Sir, our ancestors did not march, die, and fight for civil rights so we could go back to the fields? What? But shout out to the Latino immigrant population that have mastered that labor with skill and stamina. This country doesn't even appreciate it enough. Oh, and by the way, when they do try to hire Americans, black or white, to do those jobs, most of them don't even last half a day. They just ghost them without even picking up their paychecks. True story. So y'all, tell me, do you really believe that they thought black people were planning to replace immigrants in that labor force if they got deported? Because I need to know who was smoking that logic.
To all my farmer neighbors, my name is Susie, and I live in rural Missouri. You were warned over and over and over. We told you there was no drag queen story hour. There were no furries in our school using litter boxes. But you guys refused to call the superintendent of the schools like I did. I called Rolla Public Schools and asked Dr. Dare if there was any truth to that. He laughed and said maybe I was watching too much TV. We told you that China signed 20-year contracts with Brazil for soybeans. You laughed in our face. I'm not going to say I told you so, but I do not want to bail you out for the next 20 years, and I will fight against it. China signed 20-year contracts with Brazil for soybeans because of Donald J. Trump. They don't want our soybeans. They don't want our beef. They don't want our wheat. They don't want anything we grow. As far as we're concerned, China can stick it up our ass. And can you blame them? Can you really blame them?
Oh no, this is so sad. There are a bunch of white Texas farmers who are losing their farms right now. Because guess what? 100% of their workforce vanished. Wow. So all those people, who got eyes called on them, they were working on the farms. So now that they're gone, they cannot sustain the farms. You know what's crazy about this video? Because I talked about this like 2 months ago when Trump brought over all these South Afrikaners, farm people, where we find out that they were not really even farmers. And I was talking about this and found out that a few of our dear white farmers here had started losing their farms because of promises that were made to them and was not kept by this administration. So now it's trickling down to some other farmers because now their workforce, they're gone. And I was seeing somewhere where somebody came over, and it was a Caucasian man. He came over from Twitter, and he was like, y'all, a lot of these farmers, white farmers, they thought that black people were going to come and work for their farms. There's a lot going on in this country right now. Us heading into possibly World War II. But this is a conversation just to kind of talk about right now. That people are kind of seeing I guess, what's the word? I can't even find the word, but the decisions that they made, they are coming back to hunt them. Let's just say that. So sorry to hear this, but yeah. So I do hope that some of these Native Americans that did lose their lands, that they do get back some of these farms that are being lost.
Oh boy, let's talk about how Trump is screwing the farmers. I have a lot of soybean farmers who are my clients, and this is really bad news. Caleb Ragland, who's the president of the American Soybean Association, he said farmers are heading into a harvest season without a single order from China. 25% of soybean farmers' crops are usually sold to China. The prices of soybeans are down 40% because of what's happening under the Trump administration, and production costs are rising. I'm tying in the Trump administration to this. This Soybean Association president is still speaking up Donald Trump. 500,000 soybean growers in the United States exist and are being severely impacted by this. They're having to now rely on loans to get them through the season. There are 231,000 jobs associated with soybean farming, harvesting, transportation, storage, you name it. And he says the impact on the local rural community that depends on the farmer is going to be severely impacted. South American farmers, soybean farmers, are filling the gap. China is just hop-skipping over the United States, and countries like Brazil have got it completely covered. No wonder Trump is attacking some of these other countries south of us. But then he went on to reiterate that Donald Trump loves farmers and that he supports Trump. And he says that the Trump administration told him to tell the farmers to be patient. I just want to explain what these soybean farmers are looking at. Harvest season is right around the corner. Imagine that there's a machine manufacturer that is on the brink of bankruptcy, and they've got a whopping $50,000 in the bank. And they've got to make a decision. Do we keep hiring people to build this one machine in hopes that we can sell it and make that money back? Do we drain that $50,000 and go into debt, hiring employees, purchasing materials to make it happen, run our facility to make that machine, pay for transportation costs to ship it out in the hopes that we'll have a customer for it? That's what they're facing. They've got to hire H-2A workers, those nasty, nasty brown-skinned people. And I'm being very sarcastic. That's how MAGA looks at them. There's truck drivers that haul the soy. There's storage facilities with silos that store them. The farmer pays to have them stored. They're going to tell them we have no room because we're storing 10,000 other farmers' soy products that are not being sold anywhere. Like, this is so fucking devastating. And when I saw that farmer in, I believe, Arkansas, crying, this is a grown-ass man with gray hair. Donald Trump, we love you. We need your help. This is what MAGA doesn't get. Don't leave a seat at the table expecting Donald Trump to come sit down and talk to farmers. He will only sit at the tables that have billionaires and Project 2025 folks. He's only focused on their agenda. And the Project 2025 agenda includes changing the American farming industry that's going to fucking screw every American farmer.
What are all those starving soybean farmers in the Midwest going to do with the 55 billion pounds of soybeans that China's not buying this year? I know Iowa is going to go nuts for making their own soy milk, and I know that Arkansas is going to go nuts for tofu. I'm sure they're going to love their own homemade miso in Indiana, and I know those North Dakotans are going to love soy yogurt. In Missouri, they can send their kids to school with some whole roasted soybeans for snack and then make their own veggie burgers for lunch and dinner. I have never met a person in the Midwest or the South that doesn't love a good veggie burger. Have you? And no more Baskin Robbins on a hot summer day in Wisconsin. You won't need your healthy cows because you can make your very own soy ice cream. And it doesn't stop there. Are you going to be cold this winter and you can't afford your heating bill, but you have a ton of extra soybeans, literally? Well, just simply learn how to make your own spray foam insulation with soybeans. Maybe they can make their own biodiesel too. That doesn't sound complicated at all. See, you don't need to blame others. You can just pull yourself up by your own soybeans. Or you could have voted for Kamala, but I guess she had a funny laugh, right?
So the farmers in Arkansas want a bailout from, DT. And it's funny because they voted for this to happen, basically. They voted to go ahead and lose the two biggest buyers of soybeans. One is, what is it called? Department of, I forget, but basically they bought the soybeans and would send them abroad to feed hungry children or the needy in other countries. And the other, I think they were number 2 buyers, right? And then the number 1 buyers was China. And because of the tariffs and the trade war, China doesn't want to buy soybeans from the United States anymore. So now you have a bunch of farmers, MAGA, who voted for this, are crying because nobody wants to buy their soybeans and they're losing money and they're losing their livelihoods. And now they want a bailout, which is a handout, but they don't want to give out handouts to anyone else, but they're okay taking them. Anyways, this is the kind of stuff that makes me so angry when I hear about it, because you actively voted against your own interests because you thought it would hurt people that you hate, but instead it's hurting you now, so now you want to cry about it. Do you think DT cares about you? No. Are you a billionaire? No, then he doesn't care about you. Get it through your thick skulls. And what's really funny to me too is people love the big beautiful bill because they think they're not affected by it, because they think they're rich. The rich that you think you are is not the rich that they're talking about. Okay? I think it's cute that you think you're rich. That's nice. I'm glad that you're comfortable. But you're not rich like how they are talking about the rich in this bill. They're talking about billionaires and multi-millionaires. But anyhow, happy Monday. Sorry to bring you this news, but I keep saying I wish California would just pull away. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I don't think a lot of people want to be a part of that United States anymore. We provide all the money that goes to these states like Arkansas, and I don't want to pay into that anymore. You don't care about all people, we do. You only care about yourselves. So I wish states could kind of like leave and form their own little countries, or one smaller country.
Hey, what's up, fam? Welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you're great. I'm hoping that you are faring on so fine, so right. And I think what still remains that everyone needs to learn the lesson, and some people just have to learn it the hard way. And I think in as much as the lesson was being learned, I hope everyone makes the right decision the next time. I'm talking about the few also black people that voted for Mr. Donald Trump. We call them the Black Magas, right? The people that America was great to them. But majority of black people, you understand that the United States has never been great to people. The biggest question being asked is, when was America great for black people? I'm trying to look at it everywhere. I'm not seeing anything interesting about it. But what stands out is this induced recession. And everyone is feeling the heat. People are getting to leave their jobs. Housing is, there's so much eviction that are happening. People are living out with, people are having mental health issues. And so I think this is just a lesson to everybody who thought that this will bring a change. And I think the autocrats, all the oligarchs that you understand, you know, the oligarchs that I'm talking, the American oligarchs, those people who own 99% of the properties that you see in the United States, They are the top 1% of the United States because they hold 99% of the United States. So you understand that the autocratic nature has created this recession, and it's making people suffer. Majority of those people that have faced problem this time around are white farmers. White farmers. How many times I've called them? I've called them 3 times. White farmers have gone through a lot of difficulties. First, from the taxes that has increased on their product. How do we call them? They can't sell their products in the normal price that they used to be because of the tariffs that Mr. Donald Trump induced through all these things. China is, products from China really affected its coming inside in the United States. And you understand, majority of people consume Chinese made products. And so this shows that there'll be shortages. And everything that you see that was branded made in the United States, it was made in China, then assembled in the United States, and then later on the name was changed. But I'm not going to be dwelling on that. The main focus of this video is this group of people that were really blinded. They were really blinded and promised a utopia. They were promised a utopia, but Mr. Donald Trump delivered dystopia. And so you get to understand all these devastating things that all these farmers are going through. They have their crops rotting. They have people, they cannot work for themselves, because you understand the immigration crisis that happened 7 months ago. There was a huge deportation that happened. And this huge deportation really affected majority of all these white farmers that depended on the immigration labor. Remember, the developments and everything that you are always seeing in the United States, 70% of the labor is being run by immigrants. Agree with me or not, but that's just the truth. The workforce that you see in the United States, especially in industries like building, construction, farming, supermarkets, packing, and everything that you see, they're always being run by immigrants. And so we saw a spike on the rate of deportations, and this affected the output of all these people. Main subject in this talk are white farmers. White farmers are not left out. They have also been affected by these devastating effects, rather from the choices that they made. And people are getting to learn this the hard way. And I think that's just how it's supposed to be. Because this induced recession is teaching people to survive with the little that they have. People have to cut costs. You know how cutting those habits that you have makes you not to serve the oligarchs, because the moment you buy into what they want you to do, you understand how that affects you, right? And so people are cutting off their Netflix, their Hulu, their Amazon. They are cutting them off because it helps you save on little, a couple of bucks that could help you do other important things. And this also cuts money from the oligarchs because they are the owners of all these companies. And so if you understand how the game works, you're going to stay well. But I'm hoping that all these white farmers learned from the mistakes that they made. I don't have much to say, but let me see you in my next video. But until then, I'm your host and presenter Induced Stories. Until then, peace, love, and harmony. Salute.